Have you ever felt like your mind was working against you? Like no matter how much you wanted to stay focused, be confident, or stay calm, something just kept pulling you back into fear, into self-doubt, into overthinking. Let me ask you something else. Have you ever laid in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations, regretting what you didn't say, or worse, what you did? You tell yourself, tomorrow I'll be stronger, tomorrow I'll take control. But tomorrow comes, and the cycle starts all over again. You see, the most powerful force in your life is not your environment. It's not your circumstances. It's not even your talent. That's your mind. And if you don't learn how to control your mind, make no mistake, it will control you. What if I told you that your future, your peace, your success, your joy, it's all already within you? But right now it's being held hostage by your own thoughts. Thoughts that were planted in you by fear, by failure, by people who didn't believe in you. And the truth is, some of you are still living under those voices. Not because you're weak, but because no one ever taught you how to break free. No one ever taught you that you can command your mind like a general leads an army, that you can train it to work for you, not against you. Today is the day we change that. Not with hype, not with empty words, but with truth, with tools, with power. Because once you learn how to control your mind, no person, no past, no fear will ever have power over you again. Now lean in, because I'm about to show you exactly how. Every single day you wake up, you are stepping onto a battlefield, and that battlefield is your mind. From the moment your eyes open, thoughts start flooding in. Some empowering, some destructive, some based on faith, others rooted in fear. And what most people don't realize is this: you are not the automatic commander of your own thoughts until you decide to be. Let that sink in. Just because the thoughts are coming from inside your head doesn't mean they're working for you. See, your mind is not some soft, passive, neutral space. It is a battleground filled with competing ideas, beliefs, memories, and emotions. And if you don't step in to take command of that space, it will be occupied by fear, doubt, anxiety, comparison, guilt, by all the enemies of your peace and potential. Think about it. How many times have you had a great opportunity in front of you, whether it was speaking up in a meeting, trying something new, going after a dream, and your mind instantly fired back with, who do you think you are? What if you fail? What will they say about you? And just like that, the battle was lost before it even began. Not because you weren't capable, not because the opportunity wasn't real, but because the enemy inside your own head whispered louder than the power in your soul. The mind is a powerful tool, but it doesn't come preset for your success. It comes preset for survival. And survival mode doesn't want you to take risks. It doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to stay safe, to play small, to avoid anything that feels unfamiliar. So unless you claim that mental territory and start training your mind to serve your goals, not just your fears, you'll live your life defending, not advancing, reacting, not creating. Now let me tell you something a lot of people don't want to hear. Your thoughts are not always your truth. Just because a thought comes up doesn't mean you have to follow it. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you are weak. But just because doubt shows up doesn't mean you don't have what it takes. But if you don't challenge those thoughts, they will build a home in your head. They will squat in your mind and drain your energy. They will disguise themselves as facts and keep you stuck in the same patterns, the same cycles, year after year. This is where the battle must be fought, in awareness and intention. Because most people are not thinking, they are being thought. They are letting their environment, their past, their pain, their failures dictate the script playing in their head every day. If someone told you when you were young that you weren't good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, if someone dismissed you, ignored you, humiliated you, those moments may have passed, but the voice remained, and unless you confront that voice, it becomes your own. That's why claiming the territory of your mind isn't a motivational slogan. It's a discipline. It's a daily commitment. It's waking up and saying, this mind belongs to me. I decide what thoughts live here. I decide what beliefs I nurture. I decide what energy I allow in. You do that by catching yourself in the act. When that inner critic shows up, when you start telling yourself stories that shrink you, you stop, you question it, you speak back with truth. You begin to rewire the system, thought by thought. And don't get it twisted. This isn't easy. It's not instant. It's not cute. It's war. It's crying in your car before a big step forward and still showing up. It's facing your trauma and still saying, this does not define me. It's waking up with anxiety and saying, I may not control the feeling, but I control what I do with it. And over time, as you consistently take command, something shifts. Your mind becomes your ally, not your saboteur. The voice inside becomes your coach, not your critic. And you stop living life as a victim of your thoughts. You start living as a leader of your destiny. Let me make this plain. The mind is like a garden. If you don't plant intention, purpose, and truth, weeds will grow by default. Negative thoughts are like weeds. They don't need permission to take root. But success, peace, clarity, you have to plant them, water them, protect them. So how do you claim this battlefield? You wake up and declare ownership. You monitor what you consume, what you watch, who you listen to, what you repeat. You take control of your inner dialogue. You confront your fears with facts. You stop letting past failures become permanent identities. You get around people who challenge your patterns and remind you of your power. And most importantly, you show up every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because this battle is not about one big victory. It's about showing up again and again and again until your mind gets the message. I am in charge now. You work for me. The moment you take back control of your mental territory, everything changes. Your energy changes. Your choices change. Your life changes. You're not weak. You're not broken. You've just been letting the wrong thoughts lead the way. But from this moment forward, you lead, you command, you conquer. Because this is your mind, and today you claim it. There's a voice inside your head that narrates your entire life. It talks to you when you win, and it talks even louder when you lose. It comments when you look in the mirror, when you walk into a room full of strangers, when you make a mistake, or when you dare to dream a little bigger. That voice, your inner voice, can be your greatest coach or your most ruthless enemy. And here's the truth. Most people never realize that voice is not permanent. It can be reprogrammed. You were not born doubting yourself. You were not born telling yourself that you're not enough. That inner dialogue, that came from somewhere. It came from experiences, from what was said to you when you were too young to defend yourself, from what you saw, from what you absorbed, from the things you failed at and never processed, from the people who didn't see your worth and maybe convinced you not to see it either. Over time, those outside voices became internal beliefs. Repeated often enough, they formed a script, a story. And now, most people walk around repeating a mental story that was never truly theirs to begin with. Have you ever noticed how loud that voice gets when you're about to do something meaningful? Right before you take a risk, it whispers, what if you fail? Right after you try something new, it sneers, you're not cut out for this. When you're about to speak up, it hisses, no one wants to hear from you. That's not truth. That's programming. And programming can be rewritten. Reprogramming your inner voice starts with awareness. Most people are completely unaware that they are talking themselves out of their own potential every single day. That inner voice operates like background music, always playing, always influencing your mood, your confidence, your actions. But just because it's running in the background doesn't mean it's right. You have to begin catching that voice in the act. Listen closely. When you mess up, does it say, that's okay, let's learn from it? Or does it say, you always do this, what's wrong with you? When you look in the mirror, does it say you're powerful, you're growing? Or does it pick you apart, replaying everything you hate about yourself? You don't have to believe every thought you think. Thoughts are not facts. Thoughts are patterns. And those patterns are shaped by repetition and emotion. That means you can create new patterns by feeding your mind new thoughts, intentionally, consistently, and emotionally. Speak to yourself like someone you are responsible for, someone you love, someone who matters, because you do. But if you wait until the world treats you that way before you believe it, you'll be waiting forever. You have to become the architect of your own self-belief. That means using your words differently. You don't say, I can't do this. You say, I'm still learning how to do this. You don't say, I always mess up. You say, this is a moment, not my identity. You don't say, I'm not good enough. You say, I am enough, and I'm growing stronger every day. This isn't about cheesy affirmations or blind positivity. This is about training your mind to respond differently, just like you train a muscle in the gym. The more you challenge the negative voice, the weaker it becomes. The more you speak truth, the stronger your mental resilience grows. But here's the key. You must connect emotion to the new message. Why? Because emotion is the glue that makes a thought stick. That's why the most painful memories and most joyful moments stay with you. They were emotionally intense. So when you speak new beliefs into your mind, don't just say the words, feel them, stand up, say them with power, write them down, repeat them out loud, make them part of your morning, part of your night, part of your identity. Because the truth is, your mind will believe whatever you tell it with enough frequency and conviction. You've already been hypnotized by fear, by criticism, by insecurity. Now it's time to re-hypnotize yourself with purpose, with truth, with power. And remember this, the voice you hear the most becomes the one you believe. So if the voice in your head is toxic, critical, dismissive, it's not your job to argue with it. It's your job to replace it. Flood your mind with the voice of who you're becoming. Let that voice speak louder than the one trying to hold you back. Let it say, belong in this room. My past prepared me. It didn't define me. I am not my mistakes. I'm what I learned from them. I don't need permission to grow. I'm not waiting to feel ready. I'm acting now because I am ready. You have to speak your future out loud, even when it feels like a lie, especially when it feels like a lie. Because eventually, with repetition and emotion, your subconscious will begin to believe it. And when your mind believes it, your life begins to align with it. You've heard the old saying, be careful what you say, because you're listening. Well, I'll take it further. Be intentional with what you say, because your future is listening too. This journey is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about recognizing that every single day you have a choice. You can run the old script that shrinks you, or you can rewrite the script that sets you free. And if you do that consistently, relentlessly, unapologetically, there will come a day when that old voice starts to fade. And the new one, the one you built with intention, with truth, with courage, takes its place. And when that happens, you'll realize the most powerful voice in your life was always your own. Most people aren't failing because they lack talent. They're not falling short because they don't have dreams. They're stuck because they're distracted. Every single day, we're being pulled in 1,000 directions. Social media notifications, other people's opinions, constant comparisons, fears of what might go wrong, memories of what already did. And in the middle of all that noise, your vision is dying. Let me make it plain. Focus is power, real power. And the person who learns how to control their focus can do in 1 year what most people never accomplish in a decade. Your mind has limited bandwidth. It can't give energy to everything at once. So every time you give your attention to fear, to drama, to gossip, to things that don't grow you, you're robbing your future. You're literally taking energy away from your goals, your peace, your vision, and handing it to things that won't matter in 5 years or even 5 days. You cannot feed everything. You have to choose what lives and what dies. The things you focus on grow. That's a fact. You focus on pain, you feel more pain. You focus on failure, you see more failure. You focus on your strengths, your confidence begins to rise. You focus on progress, and suddenly you notice how far you've come. The mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you point it at intensifies. But here's the catch. Distraction doesn't always show up as chaos. Sometimes it shows up looking like comfort. It shows up in the form of scrolling for just a few minutes that turn into hours. It shows up as busy work, doing everything except what actually matters. It shows up as overthinking, perfectionism, self-doubt, and before you know it, days pass, weeks pass, opportunities pass, and you're still thinking about changing but not doing it. You've got to learn to starve the distractions, not by willpower alone, but by clarity. Because when you know what you want, when you're obsessed with your vision, when your goals are clear, it becomes a lot easier to ignore what doesn't serve that. Ask yourself, what is distracting me right now? What am I giving my time and energy to that's not aligned with who I'm becoming? See, people think discipline is about saying no to everything. It's not. Discipline is about saying a stronger yes to your purpose. When you're locked in on your vision, distractions don't disappear, but they lose their power. They don't pull you the same way because you've got something bigger driving you. That's what vision does. It pulls you. It gets you up in the morning. It helps you push through fatigue, through fear, through boredom, through failure. A strong vision will carry you through seasons where motivation can't. But the thing about vision is it must be fed, and it must be fed daily. You can't visit your goals once a month and expect them to grow. You can't water your dreams once a year and wonder why nothing's blooming. You have to nourish them with intention, with action, with time. How? You protect your morning. You set your intentions early before the world throws chaos at you. You write down your goals. You visualize them. You speak them out loud. You measure your progress. You reflect. You refine. You stay engaged. Not perfectly, but consistently. Because every time you remind yourself why you started, your focus sharpens. Every time you connect with the emotion behind your goals, your discipline deepens. Focus isn't just about locking in on a task. It's about locking in on a lifestyle. It's saying, this is the standard I'm holding myself to now. It's choosing what kind of life you want to build, and then removing everything that doesn't belong in it. That includes toxic conversations. That includes comparing yourself to other people's fake highlight reels online. That includes spending more time on distractions than on dreams. You've got to understand this. Everything you give your energy to either feeds your future or feeds your frustration. You are not tired. You're just mentally exhausted from scattering your energy in too many places. You are not unmotivated. You're just unfocused. And you are not broken. You're simply misaligned. Realign, refocus, reset your standard. If it doesn't grow you, don't give it your time. If it doesn't challenge you, don't give it your loyalty. If it doesn't align with your vision, don't give it your energy. Start protecting your attention like it's sacred, because it is, and the world will gladly steal it from you if you let it. You've been called to more. You feel it. That vision that lives in your heart. It's not random. It's not accidental. It's a glimpse of who you could become if you gave yourself fully to it. But that version of you, the strong one, the focused one, the disciplined one, the one that builds something that outlives them, that version of you is only unlocked through focus. It won't happen by accident. You'll have to fight for it. You'll have to choose it when it's easier to be distracted. You'll have to recommit every single day. But the reward, it's freedom. It's fulfillment. It's waking up and knowing you're living on purpose. So from this day forward, I challenge you to make a decision, not a wish, not a maybe, a decision to take your power back, a decision to stop feeding your distractions and start feeding your vision. Because once you learn how to control your focus, you won't just change your productivity. You'll change your life. Emotion is not weakness. Emotion is information. It's the language your mind uses to communicate what matters most to you. And the problem isn't that we feel too much. It's that we were never taught how to interpret those feelings. We were taught to suppress, to hide, to toughen up, to stay logical and rational at all times, as if feelings were enemies of success. But here's the truth. Emotion drives action. Emotion is the fuel behind every decision, every reaction, every belief you hold. If you don't learn how to speak this language correctly, your mind will misinterpret everything, and you'll keep self-sabotaging without even knowing why. Think about it. People don't give up on their dreams because they lack ability. They give up because they feel overwhelmed. They feel inadequate. They feel afraid. Emotions create meaning, and meaning creates motion or paralysis. Every single memory that shaped you had emotion attached to it. You don't remember a random Tuesday at age 11, but you remember the moment someone embarrassed you in class. You remember the moment someone told you you weren't good enough, or the time you got rejected, or failed. And those moments, those emotional imprints became anchors, silent beliefs that now whisper, don't try again, stay quiet, play it safe. Unless you learn to recognize those emotional anchors, and release them, they will control your mental patterns. They will steer your focus, warp your self-image, and limit your potential. Emotion is not your enemy. It's your GPS, but you have to check the destination. Fear, for example, isn't always a red light. Sometimes it's a green light in disguise. It's showing you where growth lives. It's showing you where you're still carrying wounds. It's showing you that you care deeply about something, but you haven't built up the belief system to match it yet. Instead of running from emotion, what if you started asking it questions? What are you here to teach me? Why am I reacting this strongly? What belief is this emotion connected to? Once you ask these questions, you take the power back. You move from reacting to responding, and that shift alone changes everything. Most people live in emotional autopilot. They get triggered, they lash out, they feel sad, they isolate, they feel discouraged, they quit. But emotional mastery is about interrupting that cycle. It's about creating space between what you feel and what you do with it. You are allowed to feel angry and still respond with wisdom. You are allowed to feel afraid and still move with courage. You are allowed to feel anxious and still show up like you belong. Because emotional mastery doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you start leading your emotions instead of being led by them. It means recognizing that the mind and emotions are always in conversation. If you feed your mind negative thoughts, your emotions will respond with stress, fear, and doubt. If you feed your mind gratitude, progress, faith, your emotions begin to shift into clarity, confidence, and calm. And when your emotional state is elevated, your decisions change, your relationships change, your posture, your tone, your energy, it all changes. You can walk into a room with peace and conviction instead of insecurity and chaos, not because life is perfect, but because your inner world is aligned. So how do you begin to speak this emotional language with power? First, become aware of your patterns. Notice how you respond under pressure. Notice how you talk to yourself when you fail. Notice where your emotions spiral. Then start practicing new emotional vocabulary. Don't just say, I'm angry. Ask yourself what's beneath the anger. Is it hurt? Is it fear? Is it shame? Getting specific gives you clarity, and clarity gives you power. Next, learn how to regulate, not suppress your emotional energy. That means creating practices that help you return to balance. Deep breathing, journaling, movement, prayer, reflection, affirmations, whatever helps you reconnect with your center. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love who's struggling. Not with judgment, but with compassion. You cannot bully yourself into healing. You guide yourself into healing. And then you start using emotion as a tool before you take on a new goal. Connect with the emotion of achieving it. What will it feel like to win? What will it feel like to overcome? That emotional energy becomes a motivator. Before you walk into a tough conversation, center yourself emotionally. Choose peace. Choose clarity. Choose truth over ego. Before you let someone else's behavior pull you into chaos, ask yourself, do I want to reflect their energy or do I want to lead with mine? This is emotional leadership, and it starts in the mind because your mind listens to your emotions, but your emotions also listen to your mind. They are partners, and when you get them working together, instead of against each other, you become unstoppable. People will feel it. You'll walk differently. You'll speak differently. You'll lead, love, build, and grow with more depth. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You'll no longer be a slave to emotional triggers. You'll become the one who sets the emotional tone. And once you reach that level of self-mastery, there's no room for manipulation, no space for chaos, no power given to outside noise, because you now speak the language of the mind fluently. You speak it with wisdom, with intention, with ownership. And when you do that, your life stops being something you just react to. It becomes something you create. You've been living with a mind full of programs, beliefs that were written over time, some by your experiences, some by your environment, and many by other people's opinions, fears, and projections. And the most dangerous part is most of these beliefs were installed without your permission. You didn't ask for them, you didn't choose them, but they've been running in the background like invisible software, quietly dictating how you think, feel, act, and live. Maybe you were told directly or indirectly that success isn't for people like you, Maybe you grew up around people who always struggled, so now you believe struggle is normal. Maybe you failed once, and you started believing you weren't good enough. And now, every time a new opportunity shows up, that old program runs silently. Don't try, you'll just fail again. You are not broken, your programming is. The mind works like a computer. The beliefs you hold are the code. If that code is outdated, corrupted, or infected by negativity, then no matter how hard you try, your life will keep freezing, crashing, or looping through the same painful patterns. But here's the good news. You're the programmer. That means you have the power to rewrite the code. You don't have to keep running the same old scripts. You don't have to keep living under beliefs that shrink you, silence you, or sabotage you. You can install new beliefs, ones that serve you, elevate you, and unlock your full potential. But it starts with awareness. You cannot change what you don't confront. You've got to stop and ask yourself, what beliefs are running my life? Where did they come from? Are they actually true or just repeated? Most of what we believe isn't truth. It's just repetition. Something repeated to you often enough becomes familiar. And what's familiar feels true. Even if it's a lie, that's how beliefs form. Repetition plus emotion. Think about it. You might believe you're not smart enough, not attractive enough, not talented enough, not worthy of love or success or peace. But who told you that? Whose voice are you still echoing in your head? Once you recognize that a belief is just a learned pattern, not your identity, then you can do something incredibly powerful. You can unlearn it. You can uninstall the programs that no longer serve you. But you can't just delete a belief. You have to replace it. Your mind is not going to stay empty. If you remove a limiting belief but don't install something stronger, your mind will default right back to the old program. That's why reprogramming is an active process. You don't do it once, you do it every day, like brushing your teeth, like going to the gym, like training a muscle. You start by choosing the beliefs that align with the future you want, not the past you survived. Beliefs like, I am capable of learning anything I commit to. My past does not define my potential. I deserve to take up space. I don't need permission to grow. Every setback is a setup for a stronger comeback. I am not who I used to be. I am who I decide to be. You don't wait until you feel like believing these things. You decide, you install, and then you reinforce every single day. That means you say them out loud, you write them down, you visualize yourself already living them, you get around people who believe in them, you listen to content that affirms them, you make your environment reflect them. You flood your system with the new program until it becomes the default. And yes, there will be resistance. Your brain doesn't like change. It loves patterns, even the toxic ones. It will try to pull you back into the familiar. It will say, this isn't you. But you have to speak back. You have to remind yourself that what's familiar isn't always right. What's automatic isn't always true. Growth feels uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar, not because it's wrong. The difference between people who transform and people who stay stuck isn't intelligence. It's not luck. It's belief. People who rise have decided to write new code. They've decided that they are no longer available for the old story, and so they install the beliefs that align with where they're going. They don't wait to feel ready. They build the belief as they move. That's what you must do. Because until your belief system changes, your behavior won't stick. You can set goals, make plans, write affirmations, but if your subconscious programming is saying, this isn't who we are, you'll keep sabotaging yourself. That's why deep, lasting change begins with belief. When you believe you're worthy of a better life, you'll stop tolerating the one that's killing your spirit. When you believe you're capable, you'll take bolder action. When you believe you can learn, you'll stop being afraid to try. And here's the magic part. Once you reprogram your beliefs, life starts to reflect it. Not instantly, but inevitably. Because your choices change. Your energy shifts. You start showing up differently. You speak differently. You set boundaries. You walk into rooms with a new posture, and people respond to that. Opportunities respond to that. Reality begins to respond to you. You don't get the life you want, you get the life you believe you deserve. So if your beliefs are small, your life will be small. But if your beliefs are bold, your life will rise to meet them. This is your moment to take the keyboard back, to stop running outdated software and start installing truth, power, possibility. This is your moment to be intentional about what lives inside your head. You are the programmer. The old script is not your final story. Write something new, then live it. Relentlessly, repeatedly, unapologetically, because the mind will follow the code you give it. So give it something worth building. You've come a long way in this journey, and now it's time to seal it with one unshakable truth. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of your past. You are not trapped by your thoughts. You are not defined by the old story. You are the author now. You are the architect. You are the driver. The mind is not your enemy. It is your most powerful weapon. But only if you learn how to master it. Only if you choose daily to lead it instead of letting it lead you. Because if you don't control your mind, someone else will. Fear will, doubt will, distraction will, your past will. But if you step into that role, if you take command, everything begins to shift. Control isn't about suppressing thoughts or emotions. It's about directing them. It's about disciplining your focus. It's about choosing the beliefs that shape your identity. It's about waking up and deciding that you're not available for mediocrity anymore. You're not available for staying stuck. You're not available for playing small. You are available for growth, for healing, for becoming who you were always meant to be. Because once you control your mind, once you own your inner world, you become unstoppable in the outer one. So don't just listen to this message. Don't just get inspired for a moment. Make a decision, a real one, to rewire your beliefs, to speak life into your future, to protect your focus, to starve your distractions, to feed your vision, to master your emotions. Decide that your mind is your territory and no fear, no failure, no voice from your past gets to live there anymore. You are in control now. Lead it, own it, and watch your life rise to meet the strength of your mind.